A standing ovation, thoroughly deserved.
Henman leads by 2 games to 1 for set and by 2 sets to 1.
So Tim threw in 4 sets, 6-1, 6-7, 6-3, 6-2. And he now knows who he'll meet at the next round. It's Jim Courier of the United States, who out on court 3 won a marathon 5-setter against Shen Shulkin. He won it 13-11 in the 5th set. It lasted 4 hours and 24 minutes, the second longest singles match in Wimbledon history. But the match took its toll on Courier. Shortly afterwards, he was taken to the medical centre here and put on a drip, suffering from dehydration. His condition is said to be not serious, and he is expected to make the match on Monday.
It's going to be a tough one. Courier came through a really tight match against Schalken, and you know, most people know about our last match in Davis Cup, and it was a great match, and I'm really looking forward to it. But hopefully it will go my way.
It'd be nice to get that sort of atmosphere again.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's fair to say it will be a centre court match, and we'll both be looking forward to it.
How tough is he to play, though? Because I mean, he's difficult on any surface, but he's been proven on grass.
Yeah, he has. He's made the final here, and he's been playing well in the matches he's played here. You look at his ranking. I think he's ranked between 50 and 60.
That doesn't mean anything,
I don't think that means too much when it's a big match, and I think Monday will be a big match. He's capable of rising to the occasion, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, Pam, no wonder Tim is smiling there. He's had a nice, comfortable match. OK, 4 sets, but he's through and fit and healthy.
Right, and as opponent, you always sort of go like this when your opponent's had 4.5 hours and you hear that, you know, your opponent's on the drip, but 2 days rest. This is where the middle Sunday really gives Jim Courier a bit of a break. But Henman, solid, came through nicely.
But against Courier, looking ahead, he won't be able to sort of make the odd lapse or the odd error that he got away with today.
No, you know, these are the matches you love on grass. The contrasting styles, the fact that they played just a few months ago in Davis Cup. This kind of match in a round of 16 in the men's, this is what we haven't been seeing that much at the Grand Slams. But the men's draw is so solid. So many great players have come through and great stories. And Courier right now is one of the neat stories of the draw. He'd hardly won a match here for the last, like, 5-6 years, and suddenly he's on this little run.
But he is on a run because he came here, as we know, in Birmingham. He played so well to beat Tim and Greg to win the Davis Cup tie for the United States. He's come here and playing well. What's been happening to him? Because he lost his motivation for a while. He lost his love for tennis.
Well, I just think he was such a grinder. When Courier got to be one in the world and was winning a couple of French Opens, a couple of Australians, I mean, he just was winning on fitness, intimidation. And once he kind of lost that aura, he lost, as you said, a little bit of that motivation perhaps. But at the big moment, the Grand Slams, the Davis Cup matches, obviously he can still play inspired tennis. And I know Tim's not going to take Jim lightly on Monday.
I was going to say, providing, you know, Jim is fully fit, that's going to be a tough one for Henman. How would Henman approach that?
Well, I think he will approach it. The fact that he lost to him at Birmingham, I think, is a big help for Henman to motivate him for this match. Courier's also been nursing a cold, which is an issue. I think, again, just the fact he's going to have over 48 hours off to recover will be certainly of great benefit to the American. But I think you have to give a big edge on grass to Tim Henman, someone who got the semis last year, quarters a couple more times, and a span when Courier wasn't winning one match here.
No, Tim was certainly looking good. Well, now to the world #1, Pete Sampras. Today he faced Danny Sapsford. Now, Danny announced prior to Wimbledon that this would be his last tournament and he'd retire when he lost his match. Well, since then he won 6 qualifying matches. He's won 2 here, and his prize today was to walk onto court #1 against Pete Sampras, the world #1. Well, we can join the match in the 3rd set. Sampras leads 6-3, 6-4, and Sampras is serving 2-3 down. The commentators for this one, Peter Fleming and Bill Threlfall.
$15 love.
This has been just an assembly line of aces for Sampras. They just keep coming along.
$30 love.
Yeah,
No, it was my fault for handing over something to him when we were about to come back.
So casual.
Love. Get the ball.
Well played.
Well, Satsford covering a lot of ground, but Sampras will be
40-15.
disappointed with that lob volley. Didn't seem to get all of it on the strings.
There it is. 10 back.
Well, Sampras enjoying the turn of fate. The slam dunk came slamming back.
Yes.
Deuce.
Now this is unique. Sampras at deuce.
I acknowledge Sampras.
Satsford unable to figure out the spinning Sampras serve.
Well, that was about the closest Satsford came to breaking serve, but he had a lot to be proud of as he ended his career with a competitive match against the defending champion.
Was there a bit of nerves out there when you first went out? Were you nervous?
The first steps I took on the grass, the huge roar from the crowd, just for five or 10 seconds the butterflies came, but thankfully after the warm-up, moved my feet a bit and hit a few balls and settled down after that.
And Sampras hits the ball like a rocket. Yeah.
He does, and he serves extremely well, so I just couldn't get my teeth stuck into any of his service games, really. I was trying to slow him down a bit, but 15 seconds into the game, I was 30 love down every time, so it was an uphill battle.
Now, you've been playing, what, tennis 15 years or more, I guess?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And you've been all over the world and you've been around. How does that moment today compare with some of the other nice moments you've had?
Well, obviously it's right up there. It's easy to think of the last moment as being the best, but I've played Davis Cup, I've won nationals at the end of last year. So I've got some nice memories stored up in my memory bank to look back on in the years to come, but this will certainly rank amongst the highest.
Oh, that was a great story.
It's fantastic. It's actually one of the great stories of the first week, that a player of really such a modest career never got ranked, I think, inside the top 150, and to be able to go out the way he went out, winning 2 rounds here, losing the #1 player in the world.
And playing well today,
yeah, it was a fun match, and with a great spirit, and we all wish we could have our last match be this memorable.
Yeah, because at the end he walked up, he threw his racket into the crowd. When asked after, he said,
"Don't need it."
Don't need it anymore. It was lovely. And Pete said that he was so nervous walking off, and he had a little chat with him on the way out, and I think that would be great.
Well, Pete's been on a court like that hundreds of times, basically. It was beautiful spirit, as I said, and on to coaching, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's a few juniors that will certainly need that experience. Just briefly about Pete, though, he's got through through very easy first week.
Yeah, I talked to Paul Annacone today as coach and asked whether or not that was a worry, but I think because there's been a variety of players, a lefty, a serve and volleyer, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, I think Pete's feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and he'll have a relaxing weekend. Well, you may have seen just a short time ago in the evening sunshine, Britain's number 2, Greg Ruzetsky, he went through in straight sets against Magnus Norman. This is how he won it.
Ruzetsky, 3 sets to love. 6-3, 6-4, 7-5.
Greg, congratulations on the victory. Was it a pretty straightforward win for you?
Well, I was really pleased with the way I played tonight. It was with difficult conditions being out there so late, and with the darkness coming in, it's always tough. So I was pleased with the way I played the big points and the way I got through in 3 sets.
This Wimbledon so far, played 3, won 3, marks out of 10. How many do you give yourself?
Well, I don't know if I give myself any marks out of 10, but I give myself a good feeling because I got to the second week, and that was my first goal in these championships, because once you get to the second week, any one of the 16 players can win the tournament, so first goal accomplished.
But how close do you think you are to being at the top of your game? Can you tell at this stage?
Well, every day is a new challenge. Every day is a different day, and you're going to be playing tennis a little bit differently, so you have to wait and see. Next week's going to be a lot tougher with the likes of Philippoussis, Sampras, and Henman in my section, so it starts to separate the boys from the men, I guess.
You mentioned Henman and Sampras, and people are saying, well, they'll get to the final. I wonder whether you think you're sneaking up on the rails almost unnoticed. Are you thinking like that as well?
Well, I don't know if they'll get to the final, because if they were planned to meet, it was going to be in the semi. So,
sure, but one of them, that's what I mean. Do you think you're sneaking up in the rails at all?
I think there's so many players that can win the championships these years. Any one of the 16 players that's in the 4th round can win the championships. I mean, you've got Richard Krajicek there, who's been overlooked, who's a past champion. You have Agassi, who's a past champion. You have Rafter, who's starting to play well on the grass. So any one of those players can win it. I mean, a lot of the spotlight and attention's obviously on Pete and Tim at the moment, but I think you've got to look at everybody as a serious contender once you get to the second week.
And do you prefer the spotlight on them? Do you like to sort of stay in the shadows?
Well, I'm sure there's more than enough spotlight on me this week and the next coming week, so I don't mind. I mean, I'm just happy that the public's there from the first point to the last point, and the support out there has been tremendous.
Your next opponent is Mark Philippoussis, and your record's very good against him, isn't it?
It is. I've beaten him the last 3 times we've played, but they've all been difficult matches. I played him actually at Wimbledon in '97 when he was seeded 7th for the championships. I beat him 7-6, 7-6, 6-4, only 1 break of serve and 2 very tight tiebreakers, so I'm expecting a very difficult match.
Well, he said he faces Mark Philippoussis. Mark was out on court 2 today and defeated Francisco Clavet from Spain 7-5, 6-4, 6-4. Philippoussis against Ruzetsky is on Monday. So, Pam, Ruzetsky, I think you'll be very happy to get that finish because they only got on centre court just prior to 7 o'clock.
Right, it was a much brighter night tonight than a couple of nights ago when Tim Henman had to call it in the middle of, I guess, the second set. So yeah, you're right. You're nervous anytime you go out there at 7 o'clock. You go, 4 or 5 sets, sleep on it.
And he was a dangerous opponent because Magnus Norman hadn't lost a set in his first 2 matches. So.
No, and has had some big wins in his career, and I just think it shows the quality of tennis that Greg has played, and going again back to how many matches he's played the last 3 weeks, it's really starting to show.
And we were talking 138 miles an hour today, his fastest serve, and with the balls the way they are, because they're fluffier here, they're not as fast as they could be.
So yeah, believe me, I can't relate to it. I mean, only Venus Williams comes, even close on the women's side.
She's about 127
is her record.
Right, I think she's 123 here so far. But it's pretty good. What about Philippoussis, though? You don't want to have a front row seat for that.
No.
He's firing bullets down at you.
Your assignment today is to call the center service line. Ruzetsky, Philippoussis. Greg said his record is 3-0. I got the head-to-heads here. It says 2-0. But anyway, so whatever. If he's exaggerating. But the point is 4 of the 6 sets they've played have been tie breaks. I think it's going to come down to who plays the tie break best.
I'll agree with that. Well, one more bit of news from the men's championship. Sad news, I'm afraid, for the number 3 seed, Yevgeny Kafelnikov. He had been suffering with blisters prior to the match, but he went on court. He pulled a hamstring just in the start of the second set. He tried to play on, couldn't, and just at the beginning of the third set, he felt that he couldn't complete the match, so he retired, and the former finalist, Cedric Pierlin, he goes through to the 4th round.